What does anger do when nobody catches it? 25 centuries ago, in the city of Rajagaha, there was a Brahmin who walked across the morning to find the man who had taken his brother. His name was Akkosa Bharadvaja, and the name itself meant the abuser, the one who shouts down. This story is preserved in the Akkosa Sutta, the second discourse of the 7th chapter of the Connected Discourses, the Saṃyutta Nikāya, and in the verses on hatred kept in the Dhammapada, with the commentary by Buddha Gosa on those verses. It is one of the strangest stories in the canon, because nothing happens in it, because a man arrives carrying a torrent, and the man he has come to wound does not lift his hand, and does not raise his voice, and does not move at all. To understand what the stillness did, you have to understand who the Brahmin was when he set out. There was in the city of Rajagaha a household of the Bharadvaja clan. The Bharadvajas were Brahmins of the old line. They kept the recitation of the Vedas the way other households kept their fires, daily, audibly, without lapse. The mornings began with chanting. The evenings closed with chanting. The boys of the household had been raised in it from the time they could speak. There were 4 brothers. The eldest was the strongest reciter. He had the voice for it, and the memory, and the patience. He was the one the family expected to carry the lineage forward. The second was Akkosa, sharp-tongued, quick to anger, the one who answered for the household when the household was crossed. The name was not given to him at birth. It was given to him by the lanes of Rajagaha, who had heard him speak. The third and the fourth were younger. They followed where the elder went. One day the eldest brother went out from the household to the bamboo grove, where another teacher was sitting that season. A teacher the Brahmins of Rajagaha had spoken about with mixed words for some time. The eldest went to test him. The eldest did not come back. Weeks passed. The mornings began without his voice. Word reached the household by way of a cousin who had seen him. The eldest brother was at Velavana, the bamboo grove, on the northern edge of the city. He was wearing the saffron robe. His head had been shaved. He carried a single bowl and ate 1 meal a day from what the city placed into it. He was not coming back. The cousin had spoken to him. He had asked gently whether the eldest had been mistaken, whether some confusion of the morning could be undone, and the household resumed. The eldest had said no. The household was quiet for a long day. The mother lit no lamp that evening. The father did not chant. The third and fourth brothers sat in the courtyard with their hands in their laps and did not speak. In the corner of the courtyard near the door, the second brother sat with his back against the wall. He was not weeping. He was not chanting. He was breathing through his teeth. By morning he was on his feet. By morning he had wrapped his outer cloth and set out for the gate and asked which road went to the bamboo grove. The road to Velavana ran north out of the city, through the merchant's quarter, past the wall, and into the open country. He walked it in the cool of the early morning. He walked it with his anger sharpening on every step, the dust at his feet, the sun rising at his right shoulder. He had words for the Sangha. He had words for the order. He had words for the man who had taken his brother. He rehearsed them as he walked. Long lists of insults, the kind the Brahmins of Rajagaha kept ready for those who wandered outside their lineage. The names for the homeless, the names for the shaven, the names for those who left the sacred fire untended. He carried them the way another man might carry a stone in his hand. The road bent. The bamboo at the far end thickened. A woman with a basket of greens stepped to the side of the road to let him pass and watched him go. He did not see her. He walked, and the words sharpened, and the gate of the grove came into view at the end of the road. The bamboo grove had been given to the order by the king some years before. It was an ordinary grove. Tall bamboo at the perimeter, open ground in the center, a small clearing, swept clean, where the assembly sat in the morning light. The Buddha was seated at the head of the assembly. He was sitting cross-legged on the swept earth, in the saffron robe, with his bowl set beside him. The assembly was perhaps 40 figures, monks in saffron, a small number of householders at the edge. Among them, in the second row, sat the eldest Bharadvaja brother, head shaved, robe simple, hands folded in his lap. The younger brother came to the edge of the grove and stopped. He saw the assembly, He saw the seated figure at the center. He saw 2 rows back, the brother he had come to retrieve. The brother did not look up. The seated figure at the center turned his face slightly and looked across the open ground at the man standing at the threshold. The younger brother did not enter. He did not sit. He stood at the edge of the grove with his hands at his sides, and he began to speak. The Buddha said nothing. He had words for the Sangha. He had words for the order. He had words for the man who had taken his brother. He spoke them. The canon does not preserve the list. What is recorded is only that he spoke abuse. The long list the Brahmins of Rajagaha kept ready, the names for the homeless, the names for the shaven. He poured them out at the edge of the grove. The assembly did not move. The Buddha said nothing. The Brahmin's voice rose. He took a step into the grove and another. His hands moved. The cloth at his shoulder darkened where the morning had begun to sweat through it. His chest rose and fell with the running of the words. He spoke for a long time. The seated assembly sat. The seated figure at the center sat. The light moved on the swept earth. The Buddha said nothing. A bird called once, somewhere in the bamboo. The Brahmin's voice did not pause. He had reached the inventory of names for those who left the sacred fire untended, and he was working through it slowly. He had words for the Sangha. He had words for the order. He had words for the man who had taken his brother. The assembly sat. A monk near the edge began, slightly, to lean forward, as one leans to answer. Another monk beside him set a hand on his arm. The first monk settled. The Buddha said nothing. The Brahmin's voice cracked and steadied and went on. The names he had carried out of the city were running short. He doubled back. He repeated. His hand at his side opened and opened again. In the bamboo at the far edge of the grove, a long stem creaked once, and then was still. And then, slowly, with the slow exhaustion of a man who has emptied what he came carrying, the Brahmin stopped. He stood at the edge of the grove. His breath was loud in the open ground. The Buddha had not moved. The Buddha looked at him. He did not stand. He did not raise his voice. He did not answer the abuse with abuse. He asked a question. He said, "Householder, tell me, do you ever receive guests in your house?" The Brahmin stood breathing. The question was so far from what he had brought that for a moment he did not know how to take it. He answered after a pause, almost without thinking. "Yes, he received guests." The Buddha said, "And do you offer them food?" The Brahmin said yes. He offered them food. The household kept the old hospitality. The dishes were prepared. The dishes were set out. The Buddha said, "And if your guest does not accept the food, to whom does it belong?" The Brahmin opened his mouth and closed it and opened it again. He could not at first find the answer. The question was small and ordinary and household, and underneath it was something he could not yet see. He said slowly, "It belongs to me. The food returns to the one who prepared it." The Buddha said, "In the same way, Brahmin." He said, "What you have brought me, I do not accept." He said, "It belongs to you." The words were not loud. They were spoken across the open ground of the grove, the way one householder speaks to another at the edge of a courtyard. To whom does the food belong? To whom does the gift belong? To whom does it belong? The Brahmin stood at the edge of the grove. The abuse he had carried, the long lists, the inventory of names, the words sharpened on the road, was no longer in the air between them. It was somewhere else. It was, he understood, slowly, in him, in his chest, in his throat, in the hand that had opened and closed at his side as he spoke. The gift had been refused. The dishes had been set out, and the guest had not taken them, and the food had returned. He stood with it in his hands. He stood with it in his hands the way a man stands at a doorway with a meal that has been declined, not knowing where to set it down. He stood with it in his hands. The Buddha looked at him, and he said plainly, as one man speaks to another at the end of a long morning, "The one who, when struck, does not strike back, wins a battle hard to win. He practices the welfare of both, his own and the one who struck him. When another is angry, the one who keeps calm physician of both. Those who imagine he is foolish for it, they do not know. The Brahmin heard the words. He heard them the way a man hears the small sound of his own door closing behind him when he has come, finally into his own house at the end of the day. He set down what he had been holding. He stepped further into the grove. He asked to be received. The canon does not record what he said. It records only that he asked and that the Buddha said yes. A man who carried a torrent across the morning, who stood at the edge of a grove until a question, returned the gift to his hands, and he set it down.